Hi guys, so today we'll be creating this safari themed balloon garland using 3 double stuffed colors by 3 different brands. So I will be giving my feedback on all 3 brands in real time. So let's get started. So we are inflating right now. I am starting off. This is the double stuffed color. I have blush inside of Mocha, and this is by the brand Gemar. Right now, I am blowing up duplexes, and then once I blow up all my duplexes, I did something different. I will blow up the duplex, blow up another one, twist it, and make my clusters at the same time. But I wanted to take it slow this day. So right now I'm just blowing up a bunch of duplexes, and then I will do the clusters later on once I have all my colors blown up. And if you can see on this Gemar brand, the discoloration in the balloons, like that 16-inch balloon that's on the chair right now, you can see like those lines that's on it. Even was right now next to the grass wall, you can see those lines that's on the balloon, and one pop. So several of these balloons pop. So I thought this time that it popped because of my pipe and drape stand is like a little sharp on the edges. So I'm like, okay, maybe it popped because it was too close to the stand. No, I had like 3 more of these balloons pop, and it was just in the middle of the floor. Nothing was on the floor. So that was very disappointing. Right now I'm blowing up, this is the brand Sempertex, and I have coffee inside of white sand. And I will leave the in the description box everything I use for this video and where I bought the balloons from as well. So I'm just blowing up these balloons. Only thing with the Sempertex, I think I just had 1 balloon pop with this brand. However, I love the quality in the balloons. It's very thick. Only thing about the Sempertex was that the necks on the balloons was not as long as I wanted. Especially when you tying the clusters together, you will want really long necks. And I blew them up the way that I blow up all my balloons. I blow them up and then I cross them together, pull them as tight as I can, and then tie to get the necks really long. And now I am blowing up my last color, which is the Tuftex brand, and I have gray smoke inside of mustard. And by far, just for this look, I'm not going to put Qualitex in the mix because Qualitex will just blow all of them out. So I'm not going to put Qualitex in my feedback for today. This is going to be simply on Gemar, Sempertex, and Tuftex. So ranking down 1 through 3 as my 1 being my favorite and 3 being my least favorite. 1 will be Tuftex simply because the necks were really long. I didn't have no balloons pop on this color. 2 will be Sempertex, and Sempertex only gets 2 because the necks wasn't that long. However, I love the quality of Sempertex alone, and then Gemar because of the the discoloration, the balloons popping is number 3, of course. So now we're just going to get into making our clusters. As you just seen, I'm taking 2 duplexes and I'm tying them together or twisting them together, and then I take 2 quads of 4 balloons and I twist those together. And you just twist until you make sure all of the necks are centered in the middle, just like that. And then you just want to continue to make clusters. So I'm just moving on to the next color. And for this look, I did do a sketching of how I wanted the colors to go and how I wanted the balloon garland to look. So I kind of knew what I wanted to do already. I just didn't blow out the balloons and just wing it. I kind of knew how I wanted to do the pattern of this garland already. And if I'm not mistaken, for the white sand color, I did end up making that cluster out of with 12 balloons. So So here you'll see that another Gmar balloon popped, and it wasn't the 11-inch balloons. It was mainly the bigger balloons, and I made sure that when I inflated the balloon that I pressed the balloon out to take some of the air out, just because when you do so, it softened up the balloon. And it helps with not popping. However, that still didn't work. I did it on all of them for the most part, and it did not work at all. And I still had even more pop after this. And I'm also making the mustard as well thicker. So I'm adding in an additional quad, which makes it 12 balloons altogether. So right now I'm just going to start making my rig points using the 260Q balloons. Actually, these were 160Q by Sempertex and the color coffee balloon. And I'm just going to make a rig point at the bottom, one in the middle. I'm going to make one as well. I am double knotting it or triple knotting it, I think, as well. And then I will be making one at the top, and I end up not using the one at the top because the way I end up positioning the garland. And you can also use fishing line. You can use 20-pound, 25-pound fishing line. I just didn't feel like messing with the fishing line today, so I used the 160Q balloons. It's just better on the hand and better grip when you just flossing it through the balloons and things like that. So that's why I ended up using it. But you can also use fishing line to tie this look. So I missed the footage when I tied my clusters together, and I'm so sorry. And there you go, another Gemar balloon that popped. I just ended up popping it, moving it out the way, and I think I had to twist the balloons back together. But right now I'm just going to add some clusters, add another cluster on top of this look. And the pattern that will be going, I will be doing the Mocha at the bottom, white sand, and then mustard, and then another white sand, and then Mocha ending it at the top. And you see the 4x4, now I'm going to tie it at the top. And I think I was having a really hard time because, as I mentioned, the Sempertex balloon does not have a very long neck. So because of that, I just took a 160Q and I just flossed it in the balloons and, a few balloons. And then I tied it up. And then I'm just going to use that to tie it around the mustard and just make sure it's nice and tight and dense. And it works just as fine. You don't always have to tie the necks together, especially if you don't feel like doing it or if it's just too much of a struggle. You can always just substitute it and use a 160Q balloon. And I took that other balloon out that popped, and then I'm just going to twist that those big clusters, I believe 16-inch together in the Mocha, and just twist that back around. And that's the beauty of just having your clusters twisted in versus having it done on the fishing line. If any of your balloons pop, you can just twist it around, remove the balloon that popped and just retwist them, and they'll be, back, center, and aligned together. So don't have to really fight with that. And here I'm just going to be shaping as I'm going, seeing how I like the balloon. One thing I should have done before I started to put the garland up on the backdrop, I should have secured the grass wall to the poles. I totally forgot to do so because I ended up fighting with it the whole time I was creating the look, as far as just trying to move the grass wall where the pole wasn't showing. And I had zip ties in my suitcase where I keep all my material. I just didn't do it until the very end. As far as I think I ended up putting like one rig point on from the grass wall to the pipe, but it took me hours before I even did that. So now I'm just going to start adding the last top piece. So as I mentioned, it would be the Mocha going at the top, and I end up adding more balloons. So what I wanted, the shape of this garland, how I wanted it was, I wanted it to, because it was a safari theme, I wanted the top part to look like the elephant trunk. So I was looking for it to be, go a little smaller and then eventually, curve a little bit and, just resemble the elephant trunk. So that's the overall look of the garland that I was going for when making this. And right now I'm just making the top part. So I'm just making them smaller and smaller. In hindsight, what I didn't do, what I should have done, because I end up eventually adding some more inside the clusters. I should have just made like clusters of 6 or 8 in each side. So I kind of went from like very small 9-inch then to like a 7-inch and then 5 and then like 4 or 3 and then like a 2-inch, and I should have made clusters of those. I think I've just made clusters of like 4, and I should have made clusters of like 6 or 8 for each one, so it can be really thick and while it's getting smaller at the same time. That's the only thing I think I should have done with that. So at this point, my bare bones of the garland, you would say, is pretty much almost done. Right now I'm just fluffing out the bottom. And when you do the bottom, if you want your garland to come down like on the floor, then you would just add smaller clusters on the floor, and you will basically make clusters of like 7 and 9-inch. And I don't even think I made clusters of 8. Some of them are just clusters of 6 balloons tied together, and then you just put them in the front and just tie it to another cluster. And at this point I'm just going to be going around shaping the garland, seeing if I like it, and just always stepping back and double checking. So now that I have the structure of the garland done, I'm going to start adding the 3-foot balloon. Well, for the Gemar, this is 31 inches. And I was trying to show that the 31-inch balloon also had like those lines that the 16-inch balloon had, but it was in a different pattern. It was kind of like just going down the balloon. But now I'm just going to start. I inflated the 31-inch balloon to almost its full capacity. I want it to be as big as it can be. And then I'm going to add the other 2 balloons. In the white sand color, I don't have a 3-foot balloon for that color. I have a 24-inch balloon color. Not 24-inch balloon color. I have a 24-inch balloon. Sorry, my daughter chasing me around. So for the Tuftex balloon, I believe this is a 36-inch, but I didn't blow it up as big as the Mocha color. I inflated it a little smaller. But for the white sand color, that one is 24. I have that size in 24-inch. And I end up not blowing it up to the full 24-inch. And you'll see it was like extremely smaller than the other balloons, and I end up having to remove it and adding another balloon in. And right now I like the way it's going. You couldn't see really, but the mustard 36-inch was kind of like all the way, like it right now on the camera it looks okay, but the way it looked in person, it was kind of like almost touching the wall. So I ended up popping that 16-inch balloon, or the 17-inch that it is, on the left side, on the right side where the 36-inch mustard balloon is at. And then I moved the that 36-inch mustard balloon kind of where that 16-inch was. So again, it was placed like kind of right in there. And if you see a little bit, that white sand color is like extremely small. It kind of looks like just a 16-inch balloon and not a 24-inch balloon. So when I eventually stepped back and looked at it, I changed it. I ended up taking it off and just adding, and I had another one. And I actually double stuffed the 24-inch balloons because I didn't have any 24-inch in the coffee color. Because they didn't have it in their size at all. I end up double stuffing the 24-inch with a 24-inch black, and it gave the same look. You can't tell at all. And I just want to say that it was probably because it's just a dark color. So any dark color you could have used to double stuff the white sand with, and it probably would have came out the same way. So that's what I'm doing. So my daughter inflated her own balloon. She wanted me to add it in a garland, but her balloon wasn't double stuffed. So I just tucked it in the back and hid it, me compromising with a 5-year-old. So as I mentioned, I didn't like the size of the white sand 24-inch. I wanted to make it bigger. And here you can see it side by side. It's definitely a big difference. The other balloon that I inflated first definitely looked like a 16-inch and not the 24-inch that I wanted. So I just end up clipping it off, and then now I'm going to tie this 24-inch that I inflated to the cluster, and that will be that. So I was talking for like a few minutes, and I was like, okay, I'm not even recording. But so now I'm placing the orbs. I'm using the gold orbs, and I use these mainly because the gold orbs have like a yellow back tone to it, so it was perfect. And when I place my orbs, I like to place them, I start to place them on a garland where the spot is the most obvious as far as the hole. And that was right there where the mustard was at, between that 16 and 11 inch. So that hole was like perfect for a 7-inch orb. And I typically start with the smallest ones, and then I go to the big ones. And I had a bit of a struggle when blowing up these orbs today. Somehow the left side, when I go to put the pump in, it kept ripping, and it didn't actually mess up the balloons, but it just kept ripping for some reason. I don't know why. And one of the orbs did end up, when I was inflating it on the pump, I noticed that it had a hole in it already, and you see I have it on a ladder. But yeah, now I'm just going to be placing the orbs around. I'm seeing where I like it, and that is it. And then I'm going to start inflating. I have the 16-inch orbs as well. So now I'm blowing up the 16-inch orbs, and I won't be placing these on a garland with the gaff tape. I will be using the 160 balloons to tie it on the garland, and I just cut it in half, and then I rolled it in the orb, and just rolled it down, not past the valve part, and then you just tie it twice. And I tie that, or just one of the strings, directly to the garland. And if you don't like it where it's at, the place, then you can always just cut it off and then move it somewhere else. That's the beauty of using like the 160 Q balloons to tie on your garland. So I'm pretty much done with the garland itself. I wanted to, before I added the 5-inch balloons, I wanted to play around with these palm leaves that I have. And what I didn't like it at all. The way I had it sketched, I thought it would be actually like really nice. I thought it would look beautiful inside the garland. However, they were just way too big, and I don't know if I wasn't placing them in the right way. And sometimes when you just have a full day of doing stuff, like for me, I'm gonna speak for myself. At the end, it's like, all right, like I don't feel like messing with it anymore. I'll try it another time. So I kind of gave up, and I'm like, let's try this another time. And I end up just placing it because I have some animals that I'll be using as a prop. So I just placed it on the floor, and the animal's just going to basically like lay on top of it. Yeah, I think they were just too big. Or maybe they wasn't. I probably just didn't try hard enough. Maybe I didn't need a lot of them. I probably just need like one or two hanging out the garland. But at the time, I was like, let's just get this over with. But so we are at the end now. I'm going to start placing a 5-inch balloon. And this is that one Sempertex balloon that I mentioned that popped. Actually, I think two popped then. So I didn't like that balloon anyway. It was kind of really big, and I already had an extra one, so I just like tied that right in. And then I'm just going to start placing the 5 inches on. Then the 5/60s, as I mentioned in another video, I made those. Those are considered like filler clusters, and I just basically tied them on a 260Q or 160Q. So one end would have would have two 5-inch balloons or smaller size, and then the other end would have 3 balloons. And you just tie them on the 160Q. You can cut it in half, and then you just wrap them around the balloons. It's a great way for them to just make sure they stay in place without having to use any glue dots or anything. You can walk away from your work knowing that the balloons are not going anywhere. So it's definitely a good thing to use. So I wanted to try one more time to see if I liked the leaves inside the garland, but I didn't. I looked and no, I wasn't really feeling it. So I took it out. But this is pretty much the end of it all. I have all the props up and the sign. I got the old baby sign from Amazon, and I end up spray painting it. It came as a wood sign, and then I spray painted gold. It's actually, the color's like vintage gold. I got it from Joann's. I think I got it from Joann's. I think I had a coupon or something, so I just went there and got it from Joann's, but you can get it from Michael's. But this is the end, and right now I'm using the blower to just clean off the balloons, making sure no dust, no debris is on there. And that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, just please leave it below. I hope to have more videos coming soon. But thank you, guys.